Okwuriki. Okwuriki. Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon once again. My name is Solomon Idowu, and I'm the non-technical lead for GDSC UI. So we are here for episode one of our Tech Talk series, which is focused. This is series one of episode one, and is focusing on the theme Introduction to Tech Problem Solving. So today we are going to be hearing from Kelechi Okwuriki, who is the engineering tech lead at Nomba. But before I go ahead to introduce Kelechi and hand over to him, I would just like to state the formalities of today's session. So Kelechi will be talking to us, will be presenting for about 30 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A session where first up I would ask Kelechi a few questions that we have already prepared at GDSC, and we'll be taking questions from the audience. So, everyone that has joined, please, I'd like you to introduce yourselves in the chat box, in the chat section. If you just drop your name and where you're joining us from, would really appreciate that. This is going to be an interactive session, and I'm sure that Kelechi has prepared something very awesome for us. So I would implore us to pay rapt attention. If you have your notepads, jot things down like Josh Too Funny would say. So I'll go ahead to introduce Kelechi now. I'll read his bio, and Kelechi would take over from there. So Kelechi Okwuriki is the engineering lead for Nomba, that's previously called Kudi, and this is a startup that enables underbanked and unbanked Nigerians to access basic financial services such as money transfers, bill payments, cash withdrawals through its agent network. It is also a Y Combinator startup and recently raised $10 million in Series A funding. Kelechi has also previously worked as the integration lead at Team Apt, another high-profile startup that recently raised $80 million, and he has worked for a digital payroll startup called Bento as a senior software engineer. So as we can see, Kelechi is a man that is very, very loaded, and he has senior man experience in the tech space. So Kelechi, over to you. We are expecting a wonderful session. Thank you very much. And if you could turn on your camera as you begin, let's just see your face. And if you are comfortable with your camera being off, you could turn it off back again.
Wow, thank you, Solomon. Turning on my camera. Let me think about that. Okay, I think I could turn it on, and I'm just gonna turn it off. Yeah, it's been a very, very long day. I'm still at work, but I had to get out.
All right. All right, I understand.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so this is me. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here today,
It's glad
and
to have you too.
yeah, all right. It's lovely doing this. Lovely. Okay, so let's kick off. Do we have everyone here? Shall I continue?
Yeah, you can go on now, sir.
Okay. So as Solomon said correctly, rightly, my name is Kelechi Okwuriki. I'm the current engineering tech lead for Nomba, previously named Kudi, and Nomba offers uh, services to financial services to the underbanked and unbanked individuals in Nigeria. and we're looking at how we can expand to other countries as well. Um, as you know, we have the our POS device and we have our mobile app, such that when you walk to an agent, you can perform any kind of financial transaction, or any kind of access any financial service that you need. And as you said, yes, we've raised some money. We've raised some money, and we're looking at expanding. Yeah, so that's the basic history of some basic info about Number. I've previously, well, I this is 2022. I've been doing this for the past 6 years, since 2016, 2017, and I started my career as an embedded systems engineer, and I moved on to work as a web developer for a company, oil and gas company, and then I moved to UK, had a master's in computer science, and I worked for a telecoms company as well as a software developer. I'm going to share my screen shortly, but just a brief intro. And I moved on to Bento Africa as a senior engineer. I built a lot of their infrastructure on payments and credit, a lot of their products, and then I moved on to Timapt, and now I'm at Number. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll kick off for today because I was told I have just 30 minutes. So, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes,
Kelechi.
we can see your screen. Yes.
All right, lovely. Let's kick off. Okay, so today I'll be talking about systematic approach to problem solving in tech, or tech technology, but I'll be making a lot of reference to software engineering. I hope you all enjoy this session. As I said earlier, I previously worked for City Fiber in the UK. Worked as an integration engineer at Timapt and a senior software engineer at Bento Africa. All right, so let's get into it. Problem solving is an important skill. In anything in this life, you're going to encounter problems, and you need to be creative enough to solve any problem that you encounter. In technology, we solve problems every day. From working on bugs to delivering a new feature or making improvements to your code. In your personal life, as I said, you encounter problems every day, and the solutions or the steps you take to get that problem solved, these are just algorithms at the end of the day. You know. So let's have a scenario, and I need someone to answer for me. I need an answer from somebody. You have a meeting to attend by 8 a.m. You're almost dressed, all right? And the time, okay, I didn't add the time. At the time is currently, let's say 7 a.m., and you can't find your socks. So tell me, how do you solve this problem? I need someone to just speak up. How do you solve this problem? Now, this question is very ambiguous, and there's a reason why, but just think of this scenario. You have a meeting by 8 a.m., it's currently 7 a.m., you're almost dressed, but you can't find your socks, your only pair of socks. Did
Yeah, I think someone
someone
raised their
indicate
hands.
anything?
You can go ahead to answer the question.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, all right. Yeah,
okay,
so it
Josh.
depends on. Yeah, I'm going to think back to the previous instances where I couldn't find my socks. Um, so looking back at that, I can take a guess at
Just
where my socks will be.
um,
Joshua, are you still there?
Oh yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to look back at instances where I could not find my socks and take a guess at take a guess at where the socks could be. If I could, if I can't find it in about 30 minutes, I don't expect it to take that long. I'll just try to get another one.
okay. So when you say get another one, you mean one in your house, or you're gonna drive out to get one?
Oh well, I'm assuming can't find my socks means there's no other one in the house. That's the reason I'm looking for these in the first place. So yeah, get another one outside.
Hmm. And so you're living in Lagos and you know how bad traffic is, right? And this is 7 a.m. You know that your meeting is at let's say Lekki and you're at let's say Yaba. You have just 1 hour. You can find your socks. Are you gonna go out to find your socks? Remember, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, okay. Did not so let's say I'm living in Lagos. That's going out to buy another pair of socks will be invisible, so I definitely have to find
Another
my socks
place.
in the house. So I just need to look for more ways to figure out where it is in the house.
Hello, Joshua, are you there?
Yeah, he said he would.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So assuming I
Go
live
ahead.
in Lagos, it will be invisible to um, go out and buy a new pair of socks. So I'll just need to come up with a new plan or a new way to figure out where my socks are in the house.
Hello, Kelechi, was one answer enough, or you would like another? Because someone else is
And
raising
if
their
I'm correct,
hands.
you're gonna think back to where the last time or the last place you took a sock, right? You're gonna think of the shoe or
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The situation surrounding the socks the last time I saw it.
okay. The other person.
There are a couple of answers in the chat. Can I state them?
Is this my network? Is this my network? God, I beg.
All right. Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, Kelechi, we can hear you. Okay.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Kelechi.
Apologies for the. Okay. Okay. So I'm just reading the comments now, and someone says I'm going to wear a girl's pop sock. Okay. And someone says I'll ask myself some questions. Do I live alone?
Apologies, everyone. I think Kelechi is having network difficulty. I think this is something everyone here can relate with. Welcome to Nigeria. So he will be joining us shortly again. We can hear you loud and
Hello.
clear.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Apologies
Yes,
for the.
Kelechi.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just reading the comments now, and someone says I'm going to wear a girl's pop sock. Okay. And someone says I'll ask myself some questions. Do I live alone?
Okay, so for those of us that just joined in, we have already started the session, and the speaker starts presenting to us. But apparently, I think he's having network difficulties. So apologies, and if you could just be a little bit patient. Thank you very much.
Or should I run over it? Did you get this part?
We did not get it. We could run over it again. Thank you very much.
All right. So problems are everywhere, okay? On a personal level, there are many problems. You've got so much work to do, not enough time, okay? But you solved it and you got your work done, right? Number two, all your clothes are dirty, but you're still able to find something to wear, all right? Number three, you're really low on cash and hunger is at your door, but you're able to stretch the remaining money that you have to your next paycheck. Okay, these are all problems, all right, that you encountered. But what happened was that you asked yourself some questions. In the case of number three, you ask yourself, how much do I have left? Okay, how many days are left to my next paycheck? Can I divide the amount that I have by the number of days that are remaining to my next paycheck? You ask yourself these questions, and from the questions, you're able to get information that made you produce a process or produce an algorithm to achieve a solution or to minimize the impacts of that problem. Think of it as a mitigation plan. Okay. Now, in the tech industry, there are lots of problems. Okay. Why? Because you do not write code. Okay, let's say you have a requirement to write a code to do X, Y, Z. The truth is that that code will not remain the same till you die. Code is always changing. Code is ever changing. That's why there's a lot of demand for software engineers. Code will always change due to system requirements or user requirements. Okay, now examples of problems: when parts of your digital product don't act the way it's supposed to, engineers determine the cause of the failure and fix the problem. Okay, you make a request to a third-party API service, maybe BVM verification check, and it's failing with a 500 response or something, you know, your BVM verification is not going through. What do? In my case, I'll go into the logs, look at what the logs are saying, see if I can gather information about why that request is failing, go into the code, starting from the beginning to the end. The front end is making an API call to the back end. I'm going through the controllers, going through the methods, going through the service, line after line, seeing if maybe someone made a change recently. You know, I'm gathering information. We're gonna look at these steps, as we move along. I'm asking myself these questions. Okay, was a code change made? Was the request body altered? Was the response body altered? You know, these questions, I'm trying to find out why a BVM verification is failing. Let's say I'm talking to Paystack and it's failing. Okay, now number two, when trying to deliver a feature or improve a piece of code, you encounter problems that force you to think creatively. Okay, so your team lead comes to you. I need you to work on XYZ, work on a code that does this, does that, does that. Now, at that point in time, that has become a problem. Okay, that has become a problem, and you need to solve it. Now, you need to go maybe to Stack Overflow or Google, whatever, you know, find whatever you need, whatever information. First of all, no, okay, that's too fast. First of all, you need to understand the future, understand what you're required to do. Okay, what is the end goal of this task? What is the end goal? Okay, the end goal is that as a user, I'm supposed to see some information on my dashboard. Okay, now I'm supposed to write code that will gather information, and the end goal is that I'm meant to see this information on the dashboard. Now, with that end goal in mind, what I need to do is start breaking down. You ask questions: what information am I collecting? Am I persisting this data, or is it on the fly? So after collecting information, you then write your or develop algorithm or the process in which you're going to arrive at the goal. Okay. Remember, as an engineer, as a software engineer, or as a QA, wherever you are in tech, you're hired to solve business problems using code. You are expected to have skills such as problem solving, teamwork, and communication. And I think this is something that I need to really stress on because I've been doing this for just professionally for 6 years, but before then, since 2012, 2013, I've been coding a lot. Since for years now, I've built a lot of things from robotics to embedded systems to digital electronics to backend systems. It doesn't matter. I've built them, you know. And one thing I've encountered while working in the team is that most engineers don't know that they are hired to solve business problem. they get too caught up with the code. They get too caught up with the intricacies in trying to solve a problem. Because a business problem is a problem, okay? And if you're not solving apologies, and if you're not solving that problem, you almost become useless, no matter how technically skilled you are. Okay. Now the engineer that is able to deliver a solution to business problem A in 2 days, and he's not as great compared to another engineer that is a very great engineer. He's writing the best algorithm, okay? But he delivers in let's say in 3 days, 3 4 days. Your value is tied to how fast you can solve a business problem or solve a problem, okay? And when you're going to work in a team, I believe everyone here is a student, okay? And when you get into a company and you're working in a team, it gets more complex. Why? Because it becomes more complex. Why? Because you have other engineers you're going to work with. You have to brainstorm with other engineers. You have to communicate. You have to know how to work in a team. You need to know how to have patience. Your soft skills come into play beyond your technical skill. Trust me, two heads are better than one. Three heads are better than two heads. Okay, you might not be as a very great engineer, but if you're able to, your soft skills will speak a lot for you where your technical skills don't carry you to. Trust me on that. Okay, now let's move on. What are the steps to problem solving? First thing you need to do is to recognize that the problem exists. Secondly, you need to analyze the problem. Collect as much information as possible. Okay, every information. Don't be shy. Ask questions. If your team lead comes to the problem, ask him as much questions as possible. Whatever's going to make And even when you've collected and you're still unsure, go back and ask some more questions. You know, there's a saying, I can't remember who the sayer is, or who the person is, but it says that when you don't know something, the person who doesn't know something and he asks questions and he knows and he gets the answer to that thing is much more better than a man who assumes that he knows and he dies in his foolishness. Okay. The day you assume that you know and you don't ask is the day that you get dumber. You get smarter by reading, by learning, by collecting information. You get more intelligent. That's the truth. Now, collect as much information as possible so you can analyze the problem. Okay. Number three, identify possible causes or solutions to the problem. So, what caused this problem? The instance I gave, BVM verification is failing on the dashboard, and we're talking to Paystack. So, what could cause this? Is it a network problem? Is our server connecting, talking to their server? Is it a problem with the request body? Is it a problem? Just you're trying to identify where the problem is. Okay. And as you identifying the problem, you're also identifying the solution. If you identify that our server or my server or your server cannot talk to Paystack server, what could it be? It could be that maybe your API key is not correct. Okay, already that is an identification, but what happens there? You have a solution. Okay, now you evaluate the possible causes. As I said earlier, you have a list of what could cause this problem. As I said earlier, the request body XXXYZ, you have them down. Okay, now what's the next thing you do is you develop a plan, an action plan to correct the problem and to take action. Okay, we're going to look at these steps more deeply as we're moving along. And then what's the last thing? You verify that the problem has been corrected. That's where QA, quality assurance, come into play. Or you can do your own QA if you don't have a QA team. At Nomba, we have a QA team, so they're able to help us verify that the solutions that we have written in terms of code, the solutions are correct. So these steps require creativity and an open mind. You must be very creative. Okay, you can build up a creativity by trying to solve problems every day. The more you build, they say practice makes perfect. The more you write your own code, the more you work on little projects here and there, the better your problem solving skill. Your problem solving skill improves as you encounter problems in your own pet projects. Don't wait till you've gotten a full-time job. Build things. If you look at my GitHub, if you look at my my laptop, you see many products that I built just by myself, for no reason, just for fun. One time when I was in the UK, I got tired of the food I was eating because of the whole lockdown, whatever. I was stuck at home. This is 2020. What I did was I built a recipe app. So I just put in list of ingredients and it gives me recipes. It gives me a food that I could that I could make with these recipes. And I was using that for myself. I was using that to make certain food. I think this is actually a startup idea. So anyone that's caught this Rema, go and build a startup for this. I'll give users the opportunity to. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kelechi.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is a startup idea. Give users the ability to put in ingredients or whatever, and then to give them a food. Okay, go build that. If you need a CTO, come to me. If you need fund or whatever. Okay, so you have to be creative and you need to have an open mind. Open mind because if your mindset is narrow, you might not be able to solve the problem. You need to be able to accept as much information as possible because the road to the solution is not narrow, it's wide. A solution that you will never ever think of, might be the solution to the problem. Okay, as I said earlier, your teamwork and your communication skills must be top notch, must be on par. If you're weak in this, please, I recommend that you work on this just before you get a full-time job. Okay, now let's look at the steps in detail. I think how many minutes do I have left? This is 15:30. I think I have about 10 minutes left. So recognize that the problem exists. All right, have some knowledge of the situation. Be an information addict. I say again, collect as much information as you need. Ask questions. Be inquisitive. Okay, in your job or in whatever you're doing, gain domain knowledge about your job, the systems, the products. Gaining this knowledge will help you identify, problems and identify, the fastest way to fix a problem or where a problem might exist. Someone says the behavior verification is failing. Because you have domain knowledge of the systems, you know that there's a controller, a certain controller, maybe payment controller that talks to a service that talks to Paystack. Now, person A doesn't know that controller exists, but you know that controller exists because of how much time you spent to know your domain. You go there immediately and you're able to troubleshoot and you're able to solve this problem. That's why it's very important that you gain domain knowledge. Okay, if you get a new job, don't wait for work to come to you. Go to the work. How do you go to the work? Go into the system, look at the code, ask questions, talk to all the teammates. Go into the code, look at what's happening, how does this work, draw out your own information flow of how a piece of code works. Okay, as you're drawing out this piece of information or the information flow of how the code works, you're gathering more knowledge, you're understanding the system, you're understanding how these things work. Why? Such that when there's a problem someday, because of the knowledge you've gained from spending time to gain domain knowledge, you're able to solve the problem as fast as possible. Remember again, business is hire engineers to solve problems, not to write the best code, not to have the best sorting algorithm, not to have the best lookup algorithm or whatever. It's can you solve our problem? Yes, we'll pay you. That's it. We don't care what kind of code you write. Obviously, as an engineer, you need to write the best code. Why? Because other teammates who are definitely going to maintain that, or you will maintain that in 6 months' time. You need to know what you're writing. You need to know what you're writing, and obviously, um, if your solution will take less time, less system time, is better that is. So let's say you're writing an API and it takes 5 milliseconds. 5 milliseconds is definitely better than 30 milliseconds. The faster it is, the better. Okay, and less resource, less competition. All right. So is there really a problem? No. Move on to the next problem. If there's a problem, write down the problem statement, ask questions, collect data, and observe. Okay. Now, step two, analyze the problem and collect information. A situation, your code won't compile. What do? Do you command A, command X, throw away the whole code and write a new piece of code? Or are you going to restart your laptop over and over again just so your code will compile? Or are you going to throw away your laptop and get a new laptop and write code? Or are you going to send a mail to your team lead that he's not working? So yeah, obviously you're not going to do all of these things. But the more information that you collect, the higher chances of solving the problem. Your code won't compile. What do? So you come back. Okay, why is it not compiling? What is the error message I'm getting? Let's trace it down to the line number. Oh, what is the line number saying? Oh, I see. Um, I use a wrong variable type. I use a wrong data type rather. I'm expected to use an integer, but I use a string here. Oh, okay, that's the problem. And then simple, you know. So analyze the problem, collect as much information as possible, and then step three, identify the possible causes. As I said earlier, at this stage, you should know what the problem is and what the problem looks like. Okay, as I said earlier, the problem might be a wrong data type, missing semicolon, an MPE, it could be anything at all. In the case of, I'm still using the BVM verification because I think it's the simplest. In the case of the BVM verification, it could be that there's no response from Paystack actually. So it's not that there's a problem with your code. It's that Paystack didn't return any response. But there's a slight hiccup in your code in the sense that you're not handling MPEs. So you're not checking if there's a response or not. You're just returning the data back to the UI. So that could be a problem as well. Or that could be the reason why the verification is failing. So the problem might be obvious in this case. If it's not, then creativity has to just come in. Brainstorming with your team has to just come in. If you can't find a solution, go meet another engineer. Hey man, or hey, hey girl, or whatever. I don't know. I seem to have hit a blocker in solving this problem. What do you think? Can we look at it together? That's teamwork. That's where it comes in, because no man is an island. You don't know everything. You don't know everything. Trust me. Every day I and my CTO and my director of engineering, we liaise every time to, when I encounter a problem, or even when they encounter a problem, they're like, hey, Kelechi, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? This is a director of engineering, this is a CTO, but because no man is an island, we all need each other. He asks questions, same thing with me. I ask my product manager, hey, what do you think? I ask my engineer on my team, what do you think about this? What do you think? That's how it works. Okay. So brainstorm for possible causes of the solution of the problem, and then does collected information, the information that you have gathered, does it eliminate the cause? If it does, then eliminate the problem right there. Write code that will solve that problem. If not, then reevaluate again. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board and evaluate. Okay, now evaluate the possible causes. Now, okay, you've seen that there are duplicate solutions, duplicate problems. Remove the duplicates. Narrow it down to one solution or one problem. Narrow it down to one solution. Eliminate the causes that have been checked out. Okay, you've evaluated many, let's say 5 possible causes. Okay, you evaluate 5 possible causes. Now you come down to the least possible cause. You've seen that it's not the NPE, it's not an NPE thrown from the response from Paystack server. It's not that. You've seen that your request body is fine. You've seen that an engineer didn't add a new piece of code. So you eliminate the least possible cause of that problem. Okay, and then you definitely end up with one possible cause. It always leads to one thing. There's always one thing that's causing that problem. Okay. And once you have found that thing, the thing that's causing the problem, then what's the next thing is you develop a plan of action. Now, if you're working in a team, it can spawn, it might be a very quick solution. It might be a solution that will take a couple of days. It depends on the context of the problem. Okay, so go for the solution that gets the most done with few consequences. Few consequences mean, in my case, the business. Okay, if the business is going to lose money from that problem, I have to solve the problem as fast as possible. As fast as possible. At Nomba, I don't want to say too much, but there was a situation whereby when I joined in November, where we offer loans to our agents, okay, and these agents will repay their loans, but the system wasn't recording these loans, and the agents end up being debited twice. Okay, now the business the business was losing customers, agents, because they were being debited multiple times for a loan that has been repaid. Okay, and we're having churn. Churn means losing your users. Okay, and they were losing money. So I came on board, and that was the first problem I met. I had to solve it ASAP. The business hired me as an engineering lead. So what does it mean? It means I have to deliver, ASAP. Okay, so what did I do? I checked how much time do I have. Okay, agents have lost this X amount of money. How much time is left before I can get this out? How much manpower do I have? I looked at my team. How many engineers do I have? Do I need any additional info? Okay, let me look into the code. I need to gather information about the system, the existing code that was written. Why are repayments not recorded? Is there an easy way to solve this problem? Should we just do a manual payback of all the money that has been the wrong debits, or do we go deeper and come up with a permanent or temporary fix? Okay, so these are the questions you're going to ask yourself. And then once you have these questions, then you develop your plan. Plan is, what is the step? So what I did was, when I asked these questions and I came up with a plan. Okay, now I've seen the code. what was the problem? We were having database pool issues, so a connection could not be spawned. The database ran out of connections. I think for drop wizard, sorry I'm going to deep, but I'm a very technical person. For drop wizard, if you for those that write Java, connection pools, I think you have 120 connections, and what happens was that the connections was maxed out. So we had to go into the documentation for drop wizard, find out we could increase this connection pool size, and then I think we offered, sorry, it was 60, and then we offered up to 100, meaning that more pool size could be allocated to the server. Okay. Now, what is sequence of actions? What I did was, the next thing I did was to write the documents on how to solve the problem and the solution. I drew up a document alongside an information flow chart on the new system that will be implemented to stop these wrong debits. What I did was I also checked, okay, who my team can join me in solving this problem. I had a very trusted engineer, a wonderful guy. His name is Favor. Okay, we worked on it together. It's like, okay, you know what? You work on this part, and then I checked. Okay, I need just one backend engineer that will solve this problem, and that's what this top point is for. I checked how much time would be required to solve this. So I did a breakdown. Okay, it's going to take 3 business working days, and maybe QA 1 extra working day. Maybe okay, 3 business working days. I have to review his code, maybe a few hours. QA 1.5 days. So I looked at it. Okay, 4 days to get this solution out. I ran it by my DOE. I ran it by my CTO. They were good to go. And then I checked. Okay, what is the code needed? And yeah, okay, this should have come before. But what is it? What code is needed to solve this? Okay. Then after that, QA. What does QA need to ensure that they're able to test this effectively? And whatever resource we'll give it to them. And then lastly, the methods to communicate the plan. So in that document, what I did was the method what I did was to come up with a document. Okay, I communicated to my CTO, my DOE, and to all the engineers on the team the problem on the document and also the plan and the result. So the result is that we expect that as the system runs, we should have just singular debits, for every repayment, and that was documented. And you can see everything here. You can just look at it one more time. Is there a problem? No. Move on to the next problem. If there's a problem, get the statement, collect data, observe, and after you've done that, brainstorm. Brainstorm by yourself or brainstorm with another teammate. Okay. After doing that, the information you've collected will eliminate the problem. If yes, then kill the problem right there. If not, evaluate the possible causes. Okay, what could have caused this problem while you're brainstorming with your engineer or by yourself? And once you've done that, find the easiest and quickest to most difficult, find the easiest and quickest way to solve the problem, then write out a plan. It could be an algorithm. Because what I do is I recommend every engineer out here, please don't just jump and start writing code. Okay, don't jump into your IDE. If you've gotten a task to do or a problem, don't just jump in and start writing code. Go into your notepad or wherever, write down your algorithm. Okay, write an algorithm, make it as simple as possible. Okay, I break it down to the least minimum before you start writing a bit of code. Design your system before you write code. Design is very important. So develop your plan of action, fix the root cause, check. Is the problem fixed? Yes, then record, And then if not, go back again, evaluate, come back until you've solved the problem. Okay. Then I think that was step 5. This is step 6. Yeah, but that's the last step. Verify that the problem has been corrected, and that's when your QA comes to play. If you have a QA team, if not, you can QA by yourself. Check that as the system runs or from when the request is made that the BVM verification goes through, or you're failing gracefully, or the data that you're collecting from the dashboard is showing up in the user settings area or whatever, So, final point I'm going to say: Paystack, Okra, Nomba, whatever company, Google, they're hiring you to solve business problems. Okay, don't get caught up in the code. Yes, as an engineer, it's a responsibility to write the best code possible, but you can always iterate on your code. You can always come up with a better solution. First start with the most granular solution to the problem. Let at least the problem stop. Once the problem has stopped, then reiterate on your code. Okay, you need to, instead of doing a for loop, you can do something else. Instead of doing a check, just whatever, just to improve the code. You can always improve on the code, but have your most granular solution to the problem out there first of all. Kill the problem, okay? Because as a business, you're losing money, you're losing customers, and these are valuable. These are valuable to you. Kill the problem. Once the problem has been killed, then you can now improve on your code, okay? So there's a saying that I always have at the back of my mind. A problem is the best chance for you to do your best. Don't run away from problems, okay? You find the problem in your piece of code or your work, jump into it, go head on with it. Don't shy away, okay? Because I won't lie to you, medals are given to engineers that solve problems. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's a bug that's eating up companies' resources, or if it's a new feature. A new feature is still a problem. Don't get me wrong. A new feature you're meant to deliver is a problem. Okay, so a problem is the best chance for you to do your best. It will improve your capacity in every way. It will improve your technical skill. It will improve your soft skill, your communication, your teamwork, everything. Okay, and that's it.
Thank you
That's it.
very much, Kelechi. I think
Question?
a lot of us here would agree with me that that was a very, very wonderful session. Personally, I did learn a few things myself, even though I'm not the code guy. But I think there are a lot of things that you said that a lot of us can also apply, whether it's the tech side you are into or the non-tech side. Things like your soft skills will do for you what your tech skills cannot do, and companies pay you to solve their problems. So while your skill set is very important, it's also important you focus on that particular side of it, solving problems. And a problem is the best chance for you to show your skills and to develop yourself. Thank you very much for that awesome session, Kelechi. Um, so we'll be going into the Q&A section now. I have 5 questions that we've already prepared from GDSC. Just some of them you've touched, some of them you still like you to take us through some certain things. And to everyone else that has been listening, please, if you have questions, I'd like you to put it in the chat box um, now, so that once we are done with this part, we'll go straight to the audience questions. Thank you very much. So, Kelechi, you mentioned that you started tech since 2012, and you mentioned, I think you got your first job, or at least the first mention of the job you mentioned was about 2017, if I got that correctly. So I want you to take us
That's it.
through your tech journey. Like, what was your story from learning tech to getting jobs and then to this current role that you have?
Oh, good question. So my journey. Well, I've always been a technical person ever since I was a kid. I've been very inquisitive. I used to open up my television. I love to see the green circuit board. It fascinated me. Okay. Before I continue, I'm going to say, if you don't have passion for this thing, you might not go far. Okay. There has to be an inborn passion, a desire to succeed in this career path you've chosen. For me, whether I'm paid or I'm not paid, I would gladly do this. Obviously, I'm a man now. I'm gonna have a family, whatever. So my my people need money, yeah. So I'm gonna be paid, yeah. But there must be an inbuilt desire, burning desire to succeed in this career. And in 2012, it started. I think 2012, I joined. I got into Covenant University. I studied industrial physics, electronics, and IT. And just to even say, I finished with a 2-2. I have to put it out there. So it doesn't matter what you graduate with. Okay, most of the time, yes, your result doesn't matter in some cases. It's more about what you can do than what your certificate says. Now, I was opportunity to learn a lot in my course, but before then, um, in secondary school, I used to have this mate. His name was David, and we used to compete with each other in our computer class. To answer questions in our computer class and whatever. And I got into Windows scripting. Batch writing of batch code. Those are know what batch is. If you have a Windows laptop, writing batch. And I used to automate a lot of things. Automate my system boot. Automate my shutdown. You know, I even wrote one malware to copy. Yeah, I don't think I should speak much. I don't know who's on the call. Yeah, I don't know what's on the call. So I wrote a piece of code to copy off some piece of elements. Once you put in your flash into a laptop, there will be an auto run that executes and it copies of data into the flash. Yeah. Yeah. So that was just me. Yeah. I was just very, very passionate about this thing. I wanted to know more. I wanted to learn. I wanted to just build things. I wanted to build things. Okay. And I was writing a lot of scripts 2012. I got into 100 level and I met this guy. His name was Chinedu, and he went to NIT. And he saw I wrote a lot of scripts. He was like, "Hey man, why don't you just learn C sharp?" And then I said learning C sharp, and I said learning C. Okay, but the most important thing was that desire was there. And then I finished a book on C sharp for dummies, C for dummies, and I was reading back to back. I was practicing, learning, and I started taking on projects for my course mates and for guys in higher level. Okay, so that was my journey. It started then, and then I started doing projects for guys outside school, for guys in school, until I officially got my uh, official letter in 2017 as an embedded engineer. Okay, so the most important thing is that why I'm able to get to this point in my life. Number one is because of God. Okay, and number two, if you don't have God, I really don't know if you go far. And number two is my passion. Okay, I'm just very passionate about this thing. I'm just very passionate. So that has been my journey. Starting off in school and getting into my professional role in 2017. And yeah, that's it.
All right.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. You answered it very, very clearly. Thank you very much. So I'll be moving on to the next question. As an engineering lead at Number, you probably come across problems frequently, like you stated. And I think the question is to ask you, how do you approach solving these problems? And I think you've answered that in your presentation, but there's also a follow-up question. So how has your ability to successfully solve problems, how has that contributed to your career? Kelechi, did you get me?
No, I didn't get you. Can you repeat?
Okay, I'll come again. I said, how has your ability to successfully solve problems contributed to your career?
How has it contributed to my career? Remember, medals, like I said, medals are given to those that can solve problems.
Yeah,
Okay. And the more problems you solve, the more confidence your team has in you, the more confidence your boss has in you.
yeah,
And yeah, so you're valuable when you can solve problems. The business want to keep you on. They want to promote you. They want to increase your salary, you know. And because you've gathered so much experience for solving problems, you can take this experience into another company and deliver ASAP. You can take this experience once you're applying for an interview and they're asking you questions. You're answering these questions. You're saying, okay, this guy is really dogged. You have experience in solving XYZ. You know what you're saying. And when you apply to a job that has more pay, bigger pay, better role, you get it. Okay. In your current place of work, if you ask for a promotion and you show these are the problems I've solved, this is what I've done, you get a promotion.
yeah.
Okay. So yes, solving problems does give you medals and it boosts your career if you ask me.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kelechi. So I'm moving on to the third question now. One of the benefits that Google Developer Students Corps of University of Ibadan seeks to provide to the developer community in our school is unique perspectives on tech. As an engineering lead at Number, you possess a lot of or you possess very unique perspective on tech. So I'd like to ask you from that perspective that you possess, what does the future hold in the tech space?
The future of tech right now, yeah. Hmm. Well, the future of tech is Web 3, if you ask me. You
Okay.
know, the future of tech right now is Web 3. We're moving on from Web 2 to Web 3. You know, and machine learning, because machine learning will always be applied to any kind of system. You know,
Yeah.
future of tech right now depends. There's robotics, because we're becoming a more digitized society. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis and a lot of reliance on machines, embedded devices, robots. For those that watch Elon Musk's last presentation where they unveiled the Tesla, is it Tesla robots? Yeah, Tesla robots. Okay, and it's going to be sold for $20,000. Obviously, they had a team of engineers working on that. Okay, so for those that have watched movies um, where you see um, you know, a situation whereby human, you come to your home and your robot makes coffee for you. All of that is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Okay, yeah. So the future of tech, yeah, robotics, Web 3, um, fintech, and embedded, yeah, embedded, if you ask me.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelechi.
Yeah.
So yeah, on to the last question. Um, what are frequent challenges that you say techies face today, and how would you suggest that they approach it? And in in this approach, I'd like you to also recommend habits that you like, or that you would advise techies to imbibe.
So frequent problems that you encounter in technology. Well, it depends on the tech. You have fintech, you have medtech, you have agri-tech.
Yes, sir.
So, so yeah, so frequent challenges you encounter. I think you have to be more specific though, because each aspect has its own unique challenges.
Okay, like from a general perspective, like when it comes to things like communication, teamwork, all of those kind of soft skills problems, yeah, soft skill challenges, yeah.
Okay, can you repeat the question?
Okay, give me a minute. So, I said, could you run through some frequent challenges that techies face in the tech space today?
Oh,
And
techie. Oh,
yeah,
you mean
techies,
techies?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay, okay. I
All
didn't
right,
get that.
okay, no problem.
Okay, so challenges that techies face in the tech space. So when I came in, what challenge did I face? I think it's just on understanding the um, understanding. So if you're coming into an existing company, um, well, my the challenge I faced was understanding the existing code base. Okay, because these companies have massive code bases, and that was one challenge for me, understanding the existing code base and how each subsystem communicates with other subsystems. Um, One other challenge that I encountered was, well, that's for the technical side is mostly the code, mostly the systems, you know, and that's why you must build up yourself, so by building your own pet projects, such that once you come into a company or wherever, this challenge won't be too much for you to handle, okay? Because you're used to
Yes,
writing code, you're used to debugging. And then for the soft side, dealing with other teammates, you might encounter a teammate that doesn't like you. You might encounter a boss that might not be great. You might encounter, um, this is a human side now, and how you deal with it depends on you. That's where you have to have worked on yourself such that you're a patient person. You're able to, yeah, you're a patient person. You're able to look past the BS, and focus on your job. You must have built up emotional resilience, because you encounter a lot of humans in this journey. I will tell you the truth, a lot of humans, and yeah, you must mature as a human being. Trust me, you must mature as a human being. And then for the business side, yeah, communication challenges will be there. You have to build up a communication, know how to communicate effectively. In fact, for success to happen, there must be effective communication. Okay,
yes,
you cannot achieve anything on your own, really. So I must talk to this person. Hey, can you get me this document? That document's gonna have knowledge for you to build out the next thing or whatever. You can't just do anything on your own, really. You can't. Yeah.
all right. Thank you very much, Kelechi. I don't know. I said if you have any questions, you could drop in the chat box. But now that we've finished that session, if you're more comfortable with dropping your questions in the chat box, please go ahead. If you'd like to ask your questions directly, you could also unmute yourself. So we have a few seconds to that. You could raise your hands up if you have a question you want to ask, so that we could um, apply order to that system. Okay, so I think anyone has a question. Somebody has taken you up on your challenge for the recipe project, so probably be expecting LinkedIn messages.
That's fine.
All right, I think that will bring us to an end of today's session. Kelechi, once again, thank you very much for this wonderful session. I think personally for myself, I did get a lot of insight, and I'm sure that's something other people here can also relate to. Emmanuel, our community lead, had to leave. He has a meeting he has to attend to. I'm sure would have liked to round up today's session, but here's me passing on his regards. Thank you everyone for showing up. Do have a lovely day. And once again, Kelechi, thank you very much for attending our session.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
You can all leave the
All right. Bye bye. Cheers.